It's Passover, and as often happens at this time of year, the commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi is in close proximity to the Seder. On 7th of April 1994, 100 days of genocide began in Rwanda, in which almost 1 million Tutsi were murdered. And so on the 7th of April every year, the president of the country, Paul Kagame, comes and lights an eternal flame that will burn for 100 days in the presence of the survivors and of the wider community and of the international community, to remember what happened in that terrible year and to be reminded now in the present what that means to all of us. It echoes very much the memory of the escape from slavery in Egypt, where we say, not they, but I escaped from Egypt, and we take it upon ourselves as a burden of memory and of redemption, an identity that we identify with what happened then. I was in Rwanda, and I was involved in commemorating the genocide most years because I'd been involved in creating the National Genocide Memorial Museum, the Kigali Genocide Memorial in Kigali, and Kwibuka, which is the 100 Days of Memory. This year is Kwibuka 31, and for 31 years the survivors and their families in the country have been remembering. That year I was involved in preparing the ceremonies that were going to take place in the National Stadium. And so it was a busy few days getting ready for that, and I ran back to my hotel just to get a shower because I was going to go straight back to the stadium and get ready. My brother comes and knocks on the door. He's also involved in genocide memory and education. Hey, Steve, you don't happen to know if anybody's got a Seder tonight? I go, it's Passover? I wasn't Jewish at that point, but I was well enough versed in the Jewish traditions to know that I should have known that, but I didn't. I said, it's Passover? He goes, yeah, and there's some Orthodox Jewish guy in the reception, like wearing a yarmulke, asking where there's a Seder. He said his name's like Konstantin or something. I went, he has a Polish accent? He goes, well, yeah. I go, that's got to be Konstanty Gebert. He said, you know him? I said, well, there's only one Orthodox Jewish person with a Polish accent in the world that sounds like Constantine, and it's Konstanty Gebert. I go to the reception. Hey, Konstanty. He turns around. We only met each other once before that, but we knew each other. So what are you doing here? He said, well, I just arrived this afternoon, and I wanted to be here for the commemoration tomorrow, but, it's Passover, so I just assumed there was going to be some Jews around here somewhere. I said, we're in the middle of Africa. This is Kigali, and there isn't even a Chabad. No Chabad means no Jews, Konstanty. You've got to know that. We laughed. I said, give me a minute. Let me call. I call Karen. Karen calls Taylor. Taylor calls me back. Hey, Stephen. Taylor Krauss. He was running a project called Voices of Rwanda. Much like we'd filmed Holocaust survivors, in the years prior, Taylor was in Rwanda filming survivors of the genocide in Rwanda. He had a Seder. I asked if it's okay if I brought Konstanty. He said, of course. So I bring Konstanty to Taylor's house. I go in and I think I'm going to stay for a few minutes and say hello and leave because I have to get back to the stadium. We had a giant, event taking place the next day. And I see the room. First of all, there's people I know from the expat community, so I said, say hello to everybody, how are you doing? And then I also see that there's 5 genocide survivors from Rwanda that are attending the Seder. So I sit down for a little while, so I'll stay a few minutes, and Konstanty starts. He was the guest, but of course he just immediately took the Haggadah and started explaining, telling the stories, and the genocide survivors were just sitting on the edge of their seats listening as he told the story of the Hebrews and how Moses led them out of Egypt and the redemption. And they knew their Bible, but to hear this from somebody who was Jewish and profoundly invested in the Seder, and to hear his storytelling, which is wonderful, and then they start asking questions, much like the 4 questions. So why is this night so different to all other nights? Kind of questions, but about Judaism and about the community and about the Holocaust and pain and trauma and redemption and Israel. And the questions just keep flowing and flowing, and Konstanty just keeps telling these stories, and then they start telling their stories of what happened to them during the genocide and how they survived and maybe how their families did not. And they're in that room of people that was so far apart in so many ways, from language and culture and religion and geography. As they told their stories, they just came together right in front of my eyes, and it was almost, it was almost like a prayer for peace in the world, for people to come together, for the pain to be gone, but for life to be renewed. And as I just sat there at that Seder, hour after hour, and those of you who've been to Seders know that the food doesn't come out until a certain point in the evening, and we didn't get to that point till at least midnight. The stories just kept flowing and flowing and flowing. And it was, for me, indeed, a night that was different from all other nights in a most profound and beautiful way.